all of you. But anyways, aloha. Now you know I'm from Hawaii, but originally I am made in China. Today I'm going to talk about my life story. So I was born in the 1950s, and so I lived through all the horrors of Mao's regime. The Great Leap Forward, the Great Famine, and the Cultural Revolution, and the exile. But what I'm going to begin with is my family story. We were the top 1%, 150 years ago in China. I want to start like this because there's a lot of talk about need to raise war against the 1%. They are making too much. Today someone said, no, not today, yesterday, we should tax them 85% of their wealth. And I call it war on 1%. But here today, I want to tell you what's the outcome of when you raise war on the 1%. This is one of my great-grandfathers. He was born in the Qing dynasty, and then later on was the pioneer of modernization of China. He went to study in Japan, and later on became the vice foreign minister of China, and many, many other jobs, and including managing banks. And he was the #1 lawyer in China. They call it #1 because he's the first one got the law license in China. And my other one of my other grandfathers, and he was the pioneer of capitalism in China. And their family was the biggest stockholder for HSBC. And here are other relatives. They're in politics. And my uncle, he was famous for his military actions. And that's his wife is my great aunt. Here, probably one man in the back behind my aunt. You probably recognize him. This is taken in Manila. And most of these Chinese ladies and gentlemen were our relatives. And this is a picture of my parents. They're on the right-hand side. The first is my father, and the one wearing a light color dress with my mother, and my grandparents on the left-hand side, and my great-grandmother sitting in the sofa, and she has bonded feet, very tiny little feet. And my family, because my great-grandmother sitting there, that's her father was, her husband was worked with HSBC. During the Cultural Revolution, my great-grandmother, that time she was 88 years old, they forced her to go outside to clean the lawn in some public park. She's never worked in her whole life. Her feet was really tiny, and she died soon after that. My grandmother is sitting next to my mother. She lived a long life of 106. She just passed away this February. And that was me. And when I was probably 4 years old, crossing my legs and talking about Charles de Gaulle is not a very good person. I think I listened to the radio and the propaganda that time. And we had a lot of properties, factories, banks, land, houses. And here, I use this picture because it's the only thing still available today. And 6 of the buildings my great-grandfather built, the first lawyer. And for his children are taken away by the government and still in the government's hand. I passed there. We had no place to live, but the government just took our houses away because they can justify it. We are enemy of the country, so they can just take our properties away, and they feel really proud living in there, and we have no say until today. So the reason I show you all these pictures, not because I want to brag about my ancestors, my family background. It's because I suffered because they were the 1%. When the communists, the government raised war against the 1%, they didn't just stop after this generation, those particular people. They're rich and famous, and also they're wealth producers for the country. The famous thing the communists did was they want to do it to 8 generations after. So I was the 3rd and 4th generation. So I didn't benefit any of this. We never lived in those houses. All the factories, land, banks were all confiscated or nationalized by the government. I didn't benefit even 1 penny of it, but I did suffer because of that. So the Cultural Revolution started 50 years ago, and these are the propaganda, the posters to teach the Red Guard how to torture the intellectuals, the landowners, the capitalist factory owners. They call it jet flight. Means 2 people grab their arms and pull it as high as possible, so force your body to bend. And for Chinese culture, bowing your head down, that's the humiliating position. And some people say, I'd rather lose my head than bow down my head. So they force you to bow down, means you have to admit you are not equal to other human beings. So that's what the Red Guard did. Not only they forced the person to bow their head, also they put a very heavy sign with a very thin metal wire on the neck. The sign sometimes is so heavy, the wire will cut into your flesh in your on your neck, then force you to bend down lower and lower. And then, did you see the girl has a pair of scissors in her hand? That's another way to humiliate people, is to randomly cut somebody's hair, just half. And my mom got that treatment because she was a university professor. And they cut your hair randomly. They give you a sign with your name on there. If your name is just like this, means you are just in the first stage, become the enemy of the state. If your name has a red cross on it, means you're on your way to execution ground. And every day, they drag you to a stage like this with thousands of people, and then make you confess what you did wrong to harm the communists, why you have land and other people don't have, how evil you are. You have to say it by yourself. And then they march you on the street. They give you a gun, you pound and you chant, I'm so-and-so, I'm the enemy of the people, and all over the city. My parents both got that, and my grandparents, of course. You see this person got the cross there already, and a lot of times on the board, those are blood. They constantly beat you, and a lot of people dead on spot. And they put you on table. Those must be a teacher. So there's a desk, a school desk, and they put you on there. And then the execution, randomly every day. I remember I was young, and all the schools were closed for 2 years. We had nothing to do. So every day our amusement is to go to the side of the road to count how many truckload of people are taken to the execution ground, how many people are on the back of the truck are going to be shot. Yeah, so every day was like that. My father was a medical doctor. He said a joke about Mao's wife to his colleagues while doing surgery. And right after that, he was put in prison for anti-communist. And the first thing he did, he told me later, he said when he heard about that, he rushed to shave off his hair, because usually what they do is grab your hair and pound you on the ground or onto the wall. And so he said I knew as much, so I shaved my head. And when he was in prison, the prison was so full that each person got the space of the length of the chopsticks. Everybody lay down on one side and like sardine in the tin. And in the middle of the night, somebody would call turn, so everybody turned at the same time, because you cannot lay flat that full. And then because the prison was overfilled, and my father was sent to hard labor later on. And then after that, after he got out of that, our whole family was exiled to a remote village away from the city for 9 years. There's no water, no electricity. Have to go miles to find wood for cooking and for water to eat and drink, and wash all my clothes in a little stream in the river. And because they call it re-education. All the culture, all the education were bad from before. All the libraries were closed, all universities, schools were closed. Universities closed for 10 years. Schools depends on the city and area, how long they were closed. Mine was closed for 2 years. And one of my grandfather's brother-in-law, he died of starvation in the prison. When my grandfather went to claim his body, he was beyond recognition because he was tortured and starved to death. His crime was he's the chief engineer for the biggest mine, coal mine in China. That's all. He was educated in the United States. And there were altogether 11 people in my family commit suicide because they didn't understand what happened. They couldn't really face that because they were forced to say what they did wrong and what they did or said against the communists. They said, we did nothing. I can't make lies. I can't put all this dirt on myself. So they just killed themselves. One threw herself in front of the moving train, and her son jumped from a tall chimney in prison, and my favorite cousin, 16 years old. And she hung herself, and because this whole country went mad. That's how I lived my childhood. There's no machineries, and the people, we tilled the land just like this, 1,000, 2,000 years ago. And but because the economy was centrally planned, controlled by the government, farmers have no say what they can plant. We were all forced to plant rice because we happen to live in the south of China. They say there's a Yangtze River. South of Yangtze River, all rice. North of Yangtze River, all wheat. That's it. But the land there was not suitable for rice. We have to really work hard to make the soil soft and carry water from miles away to dump in there. And then we stand in line, stepping the soil, make it soft. Then we plant the rice. And we put down more seeds than we could harvest. Then the government said, okay, one cropping is not enough, let's do 2 or 3 croppings. Then the soil has no nutrients in there. The farmers who produce food had nothing to eat. My neighbor, 6 people in the family that have only 1 pair of trousers. Whoever leaves the house wear that. And that pair of trousers have so many patches, you couldn't tell what materials was the original one. And the whole village, only one meal a year, they eat rice, not rice soup, solid rice. And only the male in the family get to eat that. The girls, the women, they don't. What they eat is big pot filled with water and 1 handful of rice. So you drink that soup, you really can count how many grains of rice in there with some salt and hot pepper, because you're not allowed to have a private property, so there's no vegetables you can grow. And there's no meat. Only time we get meat was one old buffalo, working buffalo died. The villagers get a little meat to eat. People don't even know what meat meant. Those are the people who are, that time was 85% of the peasants lived in China. And that's when the people, the landlords and the factory owners, store owners all get persecuted, and the whole country starved. That's the result. So that was me. Later on, I got better position, so went to a bigger area. We have tractors. I was, I think, probably 15, 16 years old, learned to drive a tractor. And 50 years later, today, China is showing off their military might, but don't be fooled. A lot of them, look at them, they're all same height, same weight. Many of them are hired actors to march. They want to show how powerful they are, the communist government. And this was just 2 months ago, not 50 years ago. In the Hall of the People in Beijing, big concert. This is in Sichuan about 2-3 years ago. People want to go back to the communism. And this is recent, about earlier this year. Look at this little kid. Their government ordered every school to teach communism. So the teacher have to teach the little kids communism. And I don't think the teacher even understand what this meant. And in this country, isn't that scary? That's why I'm here. I want to tell stories. She is not nobody. She represents somebody. She represents a voice. She's talking to a big group of people, and including the debate yesterday when they talk about socialism, how great it could be. I said, I want to tell him I will trade just 1 month place with him and let him live my life for 1 month. This is not, the Chinese people didn't do this for any other president. I don't know why. Probably you can tell me. So this is my story. Thank you very much. I will give the stage to Lily.
What is this? I don't have one here. I'm so sorry that her story made me cry. Well, my name is Lily Tang Williams. I live in Colorado. I have been in this country for 28 years. She was born in the 50s. I was born in the 60s. I was a red child. I was born 2 years before Cultural Revolution. Her family was black. My family was red. That's how the Chinese government divided the people into 10 classes, 5 red, 5 black. If my grandfather did not die as landowner, I could be her, a black child. But my grandfather died some mysterious disease in a Chinese mountain village in Sichuan. Without selling his land and property, he couldn't treat himself. So he became very poor, just trying to sell everything to treat his disease. Then he died. My father was 2 years old. Out of 6 children, and my dad was the youngest. And his mother had to feed the 6 children by working day and night on the farms. She got bit by a dog and died of infection. So my dad became an orphan at the age of 6. Never went to one-day school. His siblings scattered around in the countryside, and the girls could marry somebody and then were married. And my dad was adopted by his uncle, no children, but told him, son, you got to work hard on the farm. Otherwise, we cannot feed you. So my dad became very hard worker since 6 years old. Still cannot read today in his 70s. He's very strong. My dad never allowed anybody to bully him, even though he's dirt poor. He has lots of dignity. If you don't know something about Sichuan people, it's like the Texas people. I'm married to one. People there are the first to rebel, not to submit. That's my dad, who never let anybody to bully him, even though he's dirt poor, don't even read. He became a very strong young man, worked on the farms, lots of muscles. When the communists took over China, wanted to recruit peasants to go to state factories to work. They recruited him. Hey, young man, you look like you can be a good worker with all that muscle. You want to go to Chongqing to work for the state factory? My dad said, yes. Nothing, can really feed him in the countryside. He was always hungry. So he went to the Chongqing, later got sent to Chengdu. That's where he met my mother, got married with the communist boss, blessing or approval. And but he has been always politically correct, also hard worker. But my dad is a very proud person. He cannot put up. People treat him like dirt. So he was following his communist bosses, and his boss said, you got to go somewhere else to work because, they want to get rid of him. He was like thorn to some people's throat. But then when Chinese Communist government relocate you, they don't relocate your entire family. My dad refused to go, say, boss, I cannot go. My wife is sick. I have 3 little children. We were very poor. We lived in the community housing. Then later, he said, well, it doesn't matter. If you don't go, you're forced to retire earlier because, that's the way it is. Choose A or B. My dad chose to retire earlier. But he thought he could make the ends meet by working hard, start his business, doing tricycles and stuff. They will not give him a license or permit. So my dad had to legally work on this Chengdu straits in China for over a decade to feed his 3 children and put me through law school, which is 4 years college. So my dad is my hero. Now you know where I stand against government regulations. The government housing, people think that's wonderful, it's free, right? It is free. But 8 families in one courtyard share one bathroom. 8 families will have one bathroom for male, one for females. A big hole on the ground. Totally pitch black light. There's no light bulb. Nobody cares to change a light bulb because that's community housing. There's no private ownership. As a child, I was so scared to go to the bathroom. Too poor to have flashlight. You are just worried you might fall backwards into the big black hole. And you have to squat. And we don't have electricity. I mean, we do have electricity once in a while, but we don't have indoor plumbing. We don't have heat. We don't have appliances. We have 8 families share one water faucet. I got a little muscle. I'm the oldest child out of 3 to carry water, to put into my dad, built this artificial big container to hold water in case water runs out. We live on government food ration coupons. As a family of 5, we had 2 kilograms of pork per month for family of 5. So we were always starving. My childhood memory is hunger, poverty. And we're hungry all the time. My uncles and I learned how to trap rats so you can supplement a little bit meat. But then pretty soon, just like Venezuela today, pretty soon animals run out. There's nothing to catch. You know, hunger stripes humanity out of you. So as a child, we would buy baby bunnies, raise them to be meat rabbits. Then I had to kill them for meat. So as a child, you become attached to your pets. Swallow your tears and eat the meat. I went to school. In my school, of course, like you see in her slides and in the movies. First day in school, we say, "Long live my mom." We sing songs. We do dances, you know. We were very good little slaves, to be thankful, because we were brainwashed to do so. And we truly believed everything. We were so indoctrinated in government schools I was 2 when Cultural Revolution started, to all the way until I was 12. And I was 7 years old. I was best student in the class. So I was bragging to my girlfriend. I wanted to join Young Pioneers so bad. I bet I'll be the first group to join because I'm best student. She reported to my teacher. See, Tang Rong is not, very humble. She told me this. So my teacher called me into her office, have a private meeting. Say, "I'm not going to nominate you to join Young Pioneer, which is Mao's grassroots elementary school organization. Such a privilege, honor to join. You can move up. You can get promoted. You're red class." She said, "You're not humble. You should be like everybody else to conform to a society where everybody is humble." I went home, told my parents I was depressed. They are not going to let me join Young Pioneer. My parents were indoctrinated also to say, "We agree with you, teacher. You should conform like everybody else. You should be humble. Don't show people you are too confident." So I learned at the age of 7 a collective lesson. Don't trust anybody. Don't be an individual. I could not wear a dress like this when I was growing up. I had to wear unisex clothes. I could not tell people, "I like boys." That's a capitalist lifestyle. I could not wear any hairstyle I want. You have to have approved hairstyles. Sexuality is a totally banned subject. So basically, we could not show love publicly toward anybody but to say, "I love my Mao. I love my motherland. I love Communist Party." We were not encouraged to show public affection even to our parents. There's a song called, "Your parents are dear, and Chairman Mao is more dear. Communist Party is more dear." That's the way we're supposed to say. If you watch the movies, I was one of those red girls, wear a red scarf and hold the Mao's quotation books and dance and singing. I learned my lesson, so I totally become very, very cautious. Almost like a different people, right? You just move up. And so I learned how to conform. Don't even smile too much, because if you smile too much, that's not politically correct. Sometimes I cannot help it. I'm a born natural person. I was born a libertarian, but I did not know it. I was smiling. Said, why are you so happy? Look, nobody's smiling. I said, I'm sorry. It's like a sky is blue. I feel happy today. No. Okay, look like everybody else. So I had to constantly feel oppressed. I had to be somebody else. I even collect my photos privately so I don't get criticized. Why are you so sentimental? You want to collect your old pictures, have an album. That's such a capitalist style. Everything is capitalist. It's so bad. We need to be proletarian. We need to be conformist. We need to show only political correctness. So I write diaries required by teachers. I turn them over for review. I confess in my diaries about any incorrect political thoughts I have. I'm supposed to spy on my family, my friends, my neighbors, and tell to my teachers in my diary who said what, who did what. It was just total non-trusting society. I learned not to trust anybody because I got into trouble at the age of 7. So when Mao died, I was 12. In couple years, the Communist Party come out to say, I'm sorry, Mao is not God. Mao is a human being. He made a mistake. 10 years Cultural Revolution was a mistake. My generation was totally lost. We did not know what to believe anymore. I was raised as Buddhist, but I could not worship Buddha. Temples were shutting down. You could not join Young Pioneer if you have other religion. Your only religion was communism. So when they come out to tell us that, oh, Mao made this mistake, he's not God, it's like, now what? We cry our eyeballs out when he died. I become true believer. Like what did they say? That all those bad families and people should be eliminated, and that's how we keep our country, for public goods and public safety, blah, 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 blah. It's just, I feel like, just like today, some of those common core stuff they're pushing, just government indoctrination. So thank goodness that even though Mao was like God to me, he was talking to me from the fire, behind the clouds, smiling to me. But after all that, I got a new dream. The new dream is to go to college. The college system was being started. We could take 3 days, nationalized college entrance exam to go to college. I wanted to study law because my teacher is one of the people you mentioned, born in the 50s, college graduate, told me when he was very sick, I was 16 years old, China is ruled by man, not ruled by law. I was a college student, that's what he told me. And they were encouraged to give true feedback to the new Communist Party, after founding of China. He and his friends trust the government. They were so naive. They told the truth. They got on blacklist. They were sent to countryside educational camps called, Laogai. And his health was totally ruined. He was, I think, doing some, taking care of the pigs on the farms and day and night. So that just hit me. Oh, I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to study law. I can transform China into society ruled by law. Good luck, huh, you will say. I went to college. I was age of 17, full of ambitions. But then quickly I was disappointed. Especially after I graduated, become faculty member in Shanghai Law School, I noticed, they were cracking down on my personal freedom as long as academic freedom. I could not do much in China. I need to actually save my soul, my spirit for freedom. I need to get out of China. Thank goodness I met a foreign student from America. He told me about Declaration of Independence, Constitution. He put something in my head. All men were created equal. We have this indelible natural rights that are given to us by our Creator, not by Chinese government. This is a country I wanted to come if I have to leave China. So 28 years ago, I feel like I lost hope. I lost my dream in China. I wanted to come to a free country. Government will leave me alone. I have a guaranteed rights. I did not have much when I first came over. Could not talk in English like I do to you today. I had $100 in my pocket, borrowed. I had $1,200 in debt to my American professor who bought me an air ticket. But I had the American dream. I didn't care. I said, you know what? If I learn English, get my degree, save money, start my business, I will be free. I will be happy. I will be rich in this new country. That was before my 24th birthday. Of course, it took me about 20 years totally to wake up from my indoctrinated mind by my government in China. Because when I first came over, I was statist. I did not know about libertarianism. I did not know the concept of rights and freedom. I only knew that whenever something happened, I turned to government for solutions. And my husband's here. I married him for 26 years. It took him about 20 years to slowly help me to change my mentality and recommend me to read some books. And he made me realize my whole life in China was a lie. We were lied to. We did not have freedom of speech, freedom of press. We only had one source of information. It's from my own government. So I learned in this country that once I woke up, 2008, I became a libertarian. It was not story before about what I was. So I said, wow, I don't recognize this country. America is not the free country I had in mind when I first came over. Whatever is happening now, whatever government is doing, our government is so big and so powerful, and we have bureaucrats who are regulating our life like crazy every day. They are doing legislations, regulations, which they are not authorized to do, and they are not elected by us. But they have control over our lives every day. I said, I better tell my story. I'm like Lee. That's why we're doing this. Actually, I'm running for U.S. Senate in Colorado today. I'm the Libertarian nominee. My name will be on the ballot against Michael Bennet. And I go out, connect with all people. I don't care about your party. We are Americans. We need to be united to take our country back. Don't let like what the government did in Chinese to do to us here. Divide us all, then conquer us all. I think that lots of Americans have a libertarian heart beating. They just don't know that. It's also because of failure of governmental schools for the past, 100 years? To teach our kids progressivism, collective society, socialism. There are lots of things mentioned in Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto are happening in America. So I go out to connect with college kids to say, oh, you support burning, huh? You think socialism is wonderful. Let me tell you my story. You want to try some socialist rats? I mean, that's what I love most when I first came to this country. I love the grocery stores. So bright, so big, clean, with all kinds of products. At the beginning, I was totally lost. I'm not used to choose products. So many choices. I'm used to one brand of government brand for detergent, toilet paper, makeup, or everything. Here, you have 10 choices about everything you're going to buy. How should I choose? It took me a while to figure out. But once I figure out, get used to it, I cannot go back to my old way. It's wonderful to have choices. It's wonderful to have free market, free enterprise. You do whatever you want with your life. You can choose to make money. You can choose to start your NGO. You can choose to work for a corporation, whatever you want. Choice means freedom. I feel so passionate about liberty. I'm unapologetic libertarian today, from Mao's young pioneer. I'm living American dream to run for U.S. Senate. I'm the first Chinese American actually from mainland to be libertarian nominee for U.S. Senate. And I wanted to say that wake up, Americans. The reason I'm running because I hate to see the country I love is becoming like the country I left. Cultural revolution is coming to America already. We need to care. We need to be active. So please, check me out, lilyforliberty.com. I will appreciate your support. Thank you. So you want to stand up? We would like to take some questions. Anything you want to ask? Do they have to come in the front? Mm-hmm. Yeah, come in the front. You can light up or just... We are very spontaneous. Everything you hear is from our heart. To ask any question you want. There's no political correctness.
Thank you both. You both had mentioned about government education. And not sure if you had read Louisa Lim's The Republic of Amnesia, Tiananmen Revisited. She talks a lot about current state of education in China, where, of course, you can't find anything out about the Tiananmen massacre. But on top of that, the students are trained not to even question basics, so they wouldn't even think to wonder if there was an issue with the past. Was wondering if, when you look at Tiananmen, there were a number of people throughout the country, throughout China, that were rising up who were upset. Do you think there's a potential for that, or has the culture gone too far in complacency? What's your opinion on the future of China?
Go ahead if you want to.
Well, yes, the Chinese government is famously known for making history books. They don't teach real history. They teach Chinese communist designed history. So not only that, I think most of Chinese parents today, like my age or older generation, they're afraid to tell their children their life stories because the people who persecute us, they were still in power. The one example is the young man who led the troop of Red Guard to our house and just took everything they think is not communist, not red. They destroyed it, like photos. The photos I show you was now recently we found it from some distant relatives from outside of China because they said, look at these people. They dress so well. They still have a smile on. How evil they are. They destroyed all our photos. I don't have any childhood photos, and my mom today still hates camera because she said all my photos were destroyed and all the clothes. They say, oh, look at the clothes. They're Western style. Give me scissors. Told me to get them scissors and shred all the clothes and burn all my father's shoes because he has more than one pair of shoes. And our jewelries, we just toss them as quick as we can because if they found that we have jewelry, we have gold, we're dead. So that person who led the Red Guard to our house ended up living next door to me 30 years later. What can I do? I could not say anything, so most people don't tell their children the stories. But I'm opposite. I do tell, but I'm in trouble in China. People still tell, small numbers of people still tell. And so the education, yes, like Lily said, in her time they brainwash you. They're still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But the internet provide the world, present the world to China. Even though they have the great firewall of China, still they couldn't block all the information. So Chinese people are learning, and they are learning to think for themselves.
Well, the Tiananmen Square was not taught in public schools. The case is labeled as a counter-revolutionary case. My nephew just came over from China last year. He was 13. He did not know anything about Tiananmen Square massacre. I look at my brother, how come you don't teach him? They didn't know much either. And they're also afraid if you teach your children, they're going to say something in school, they'll be incorrect, they'll be criticized, denounced. So that when you look at your Common Core today, College Board, U.S. history, advanced placement, same thing. They are changing history. The winners choose history. Next question.
Our friend Gordon Chang, who writes for Forbes, details many of the companies that have business in China and I follow everything he writes very closely, and many others. And what they're predicting, the supposed GDP for China, they announced at 6.9, but it's really closer to 1% to 2%. And what the people who are experienced at prediction are forecasting is that there is really about 1 year left before the China, what they call debt bomb, occurs, and the meltdown will begin. Do you have any understanding of this? Could you give us any enlightenment? And how do the people within China, for example, your family that you might know that's still there, how do they see it? Or are they completely oblivious because they don't get the information?
Well, I was in China just last October. My law school friends actually are very successful in China. And some of them business, some are self-made millionaires. And but here's a general consensus: they don't trust government numbers. So that's all I can tell you. You want to take on?
Yeah, nobody trusts the government numbers, and but because they feel they're trapped, so they live today. Mm-hmm. As far as today, I have good food. I am happy. That's fine. They don't think about tomorrow.
Yeah, they also are afraid that if they become outspoken in politics, you can't go to jail or get into trouble. My lawyer friend has 200 lawyers working for her. She was threatened by Beijing government, don't take on human rights cases, or your law firm will lose its license. She just came visit me in March. She said, I'm sorry, I can only do real estate laws now, no human rights laws, no talking to Voice of America, because I was threatened. So Chinese are becoming richer, can buy Rolex watches and Gucci bags and have vacations, have condos. But they cannot have freedom of speech. They cannot have freedom press. So political freedom needs to be demanded by middle-class Chinese, by the world population, by Americans, and to help. But so far, I think our foreign policy toward China side has been very lenient when it comes to human rights abuses there. Next question.
Thank you very much for your inspiration and sharing your stories. It brought me to tears. People like you ladies are my heroes. I believe that the more you share your stories, the more you're going to keep waking us up from our apathy. Thank you for running for U.S. Senate.
Thank you, thank you.
I have one question. When you was growing up, did they teach you anything about the revolution on Formosa, Taiwan, PRO, the People's Republic of China, and the breakaway?
Well, they did mention Taiwan, but our slogan every day is, we got to go liberate Taiwan. Taiwan people are suffering. They are starving to death. 2/3 of the world population were starving to death. We should be grateful. We had some rice to eat. Well, that's the story. That's my education. How about yours?
I didn't have much education. We're working. Yeah, but they tell lies, but we didn't believe them.
So that, that's why it took me this long to really become a truly free thinker. Because they say, if you were indoctrinated for, let's say, 8 years, that's what Lenin said, give me a child for 8 years, he will be communist forever. I was in China for 24 years. Then it took me lifetime, 20 years, to totally get rid of it. So that's why I feel so passionate about fighting Common Core, fighting big, unlimited government, and want to people have a maximum freedom. That's my mission for the rest of my life. Yes, your question.
Hello. About 10 years ago, a book came out, Mao, the Unknown Story, tell-all revelation about Mao. I told my doctors, Dr. Susan Mossett, about this book. Now, she was a doctrinaire leftist, okay? She was angry at me. She said, he started the socialist revolution, shut up. So my point is, since the Communist Party is still in power, Mao is still revered there. I mean, his money is, the face of the money. You got Tiananmen Square, that huge portrait of him. Now imagine if Germany today was still revering Hitler. Okay? Now, why are they getting away with this in this age of political correctness and supposedly the enlightened community?
Well, I went to China, and people live happier life now, more freedom, more money. But everywhere you go, Mao statue is the same old place. It's in the Chengdu downtown. It's on my university campus. I feel kind of really worried and kind of depressed and sad when I walk by quietly by Mao statue. But people don't notice. I think the new China will be born. People will regain freedom if someday we just have all those Mao statues down. That's why I feel offended when I see college students in America wearing Mao's t-shirt. One time I said, kid, who is that? Chairman Mao, do you know about him? He's cool. I said, let me tell you my story. He's not cool. He's a mass murderer. And so that's why it's so important. We need to go to college campuses and to talk to students, to tell our stories, what communism, socialism is about. This worship a leader who is a mass murderer is just so sad. It's just unbelievable in this country. Okay, we have time for a last question.
Thank you both. I'm a libertarian like you. My cousin, though, is a Marxist. He's a fan of Chairman Mao. He's 12 years older than I am. When you meet people like that, what do they say to you and what do you say to them?
You go ahead.
I met a lot of people like that, especially when I was in Nepal, the Maoists. I challenged them. I said, if you just live a week under Mao, you will know. Because they have this fantasy about Mao, a fantasy about equality under Mao. When I tell them is the equality means equally poor, starving, not equally prosperous. And because I lived through it, I have authority to say it. Yeah, I know.
I tell the young people, tell me what is cool about socialism and communism. They'll tell me, oh, everything's free. People actually share everything. It's utopian. Everybody's happy. I say, sit down. It's wrong. Let me tell you. I'm living history. I lived through all that. So I start telling them story. At the end of my story, they walk away quietly.
Yeah.
And I hope I put some seeds in their head. Communism sucks. Socialism sucks. It's only freedom. It's really great. Thank you. Thank you. Last question.
Okay, sorry, we have to, the next session started. You can ask us question off stage.
We can talk
Thank you.
privately, maybe up there. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Check out lilyforliberty.com.